Hi everyone, I hope you're all doing very well in the middle of this week. I wanted to take a very short time today to share with you a good article I found on Twitter today from Mark DiLuzio, who is an ex-Feral developer who was working on several native ports, AAA native ports at Feral for several years ago. He has since then left for, I think, working for Unity. But he was working at Feral for about 5 years, so he has a fairly, I think, broad experience into the development of AAA native Linux ports. And I think he worked on Mad Max for sure and several other Feral ports. I'm not sure exactly of the whole list of ports he worked on, but I think he worked on major ones as well. And his whole article that I would recommend you read fully by yourself, maybe several times, because it's really worth it, is all about how the whole work that they were doing on this kind of AAA, I would say, port was hell. Mostly because it was very difficult, tiresome, very long, and very inefficient. Because the code base is just very large. And it took a very long time, every single time they're working on the game to get to a workable port. Even though they had, as I mentioned here, a huge code base making the process easier. I think they're referring here to IndirectX, which is the kind of internal library that Feral is using to kind of convert DirectX code to OpenGL or Vulkan in more recent history. And I think the most inefficient part is that they were almost have to start from not scratch, but probably like halfway every time they were working on different ports, because every game is different and they would not be able to have any kind of system that enabled them to almost minimize the manual work. And even though they had very good engineers, again, that's his opinion. I can't comment on that, but I think they were very solid, definitely, because we've seen that the port they contributed to, the Linux community were all very good, especially the Vulkan ports. To this day, I think the Proton version of such games still runs slower, frame rate wise, than most of the Feral ports. Not too far, but still would be like talking about 10-15% difference, which is pretty significant still. So they definitely knew what they were doing. But yeah, as Mark mentioned here, it took a lot of work, and it was probably not profitable. If you have to spend 1 year of maybe 5 people working, full time on the port, and you're only collecting a fraction of the sales on that title. It's going to be very hard to justify the investment you're going to make. So, of course, it's difficult for us to judge that, but I think it's based on his experience and what he has seen at Feral. So, probably this, if it was just Linux, probably not profitable. I think Linux plus Mac, which Feral was always aiming at, made probably a lot more sense financially. But even though, that may be the case, they're probably not, a very large, I would say, amount of revenues that would enable them to expand their operations. And also, one of the, I think, critical points that Mark is mentioning here is that they only had contracts with 2 big studios, Crystal Dynamics, I think, and probably I think the other one is Square Enix, to make ports, and that's probably not enough. Like there's probably a lot of other games that would have they should have made it to Linux, but they would never be able to touch them and get the source code. So that's always going to be a limitation there. And for him, I think it was pretty much obvious that at some point we would need to have a solution that reduces the amount of work significantly, and also increases the performance by using translation layers. And Vulkan did that very significantly. And we've seen all the work that's been happening with the XVK, the 9VK, and also recently, VKD3D, which is another translation here for DirectX 12 to Vulkan. And Vulkan has enabled this kind of seamless translation. And not seamless because they always have a cost, but pretty much like reducing the amount of friction to make performance acceptable through this kind of translation layers. So, yep, I think I recommend you have a look at this article. I think nothing really new if you were very familiar with I think all these kind of aspects. For me, it's a good reminder that even though everybody would like to have parallel ports every now and then, it's difficult. It takes too much time, and also there's just not so many publishers that would accept to share their code in that kind of fashion anyway. So it's kind of showing that native Linux porting of AAA games is definitely not something that was going to be sustainable. And we've seen that progressively after Proton was released, that there was less and less of such ports going out. So yep, I think that's it for today. I would recommend have a look. I will link it below the video today. So please check it out, and feel free to comment and share your opinions. I'll be happy to also have a discussion with you on that. Thanks, and have a good week.